Every single day of my private practice, what am I seeing that I can clearly link back to the effects of social media and technology? They're exhausted by this. They want out. They're sick and tired of social media. Sometimes I wonder, are we too late? Is it too far gone to give up? Welcome back. And for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. I'm Dr. Robert. I'm a board-certified psychiatrist. And in today's educational video, I'll be taking a closer look at the question of, is social media the new cigarette? Cigarettes were widely used long before any definitive proof was established that they cause harm. But there were many early warning signs. People, of course, started to catch on. This probably isn't good for your lungs. Many doctors knew this, didn't advocate for smoking. But for the industry to start to acknowledge this, for public opinion to start to shift, well, that took quite a bit more. And I would definitely argue that drawing a link between cigarettes and health issues is a much easier link to make than between social media and mental health. And I'll tell you why. With cigarettes, you can see lung damage. You can measure the clear pathology. You can show smokers' lung, the higher rates of cancer in people who smoke. The tobacco companies could gaslight society for only so long before people started to say, okay, well, we're not going to take that anymore. But the link between social media and mental health issues is much less clear, much less easy to define. Because of course, brains don't darken after social media exposure the way lungs do to smoke exposure. It's much more nuanced than that. There are many more variables that impact mental health than do lung health. We'll probably never get a clear, dramatic equivalent of smoker's lung for attention fragmentation, dopamine depletion, or comparison spirals. That may just never happen. But I want you to consider this. The absence of clear 100% definitive proof is not the same thing as absence of clear harm. So now I want to shift to what I'm seeing clinically. Every single day of my private practice, what am I seeing that I can clearly link back to the effects of social media and technology? Well, one, I'm definitely constantly seeing people have sleep deprivation. They're not sleeping at night because they're stuck scrolling on their phones. And even though they want to stop, they want to do other things, they want to go to bed, they feel this kind of pull just to keep sitting there. Hours go by sometimes. That happens through the days, on their weekends. People's hobbies are eroded. They're spending less time socially in person and more sucked into their phones. I'm hearing people report that they didn't have that many attentional issues growing up, but now all of a sudden they can hardly focus on anything. And it seems like the main contributor, the main factor that has changed in their life is that they're binging on TikTok 3-4 hours a day. So naturally, of course, we know now that their attention will not be what it used to be. And they're confused and frustrated by that, and understandably so. And they treat young people as well, people who've been exposed to social media growing up, young girls who are now entering college, and they're compulsively checking online to see how they compare to other girls, trying to attain certain body types due to what they've been exposed to. Or young men who have been funneled down these extreme pipelines, and now we're sort of realizing, hey, maybe this wasn't the best thing for me, but now we're having a hard time sort of finding social meaning in social groups that do give them some fulfillment. And of course, I hear people tell me also that they can't even finish a book. They can't watch a movie without pulling out their phone. And they feel embarrassed and some shame around this as well. And it's causing them a lot of frustration. And here's the common theme between all these people. They're exhausted by this. They want out. They're sick and tired of social media, at least in part. One part of their brain is sick and tired of it, but another part is still hooked on it. They still get a lot of reward out of it, and they have a really, really hard time pulling away from it. And that causes a lot of frustration because they feel hijacked. They want to get away, but it's so difficult to do so. I've been working with people quite a bit on this lately, and I do find that if people are able to reduce their social media, especially drastically, by 2/3 even, then their sleep improves, their energy improves, they feel more fulfilled, less anxious, less depressed, their focus is more sustained. They just overall feel more like themselves. Especially my patients with ADHD who already struggle with focus, attention, being susceptible to dopamine hits, they gain the most benefit. Of course, they'll still have their attentional struggles and other issues from the underlying ADHD, but their symptom burden greatly reduces once they're able to pull back and away from social media. And can I say with 100% certainty that all of these issues in my patients' lives are because of social media and that pulling back resolves it? I can't. I can't say that. I can't say that with full honesty, highest scientific integrity, but it's definitely something I'm seeing and something I'm really paying attention to. Now, let's zoom out. There's a broader cultural shift that's happening. We've eroded boredom, and boredom used to be where imagination would blossom from. We've lost hobbies to passive, endless scrolling. We've traded meaningful in-person connection to online algorithm-mediated connection. We've traded depth for dopamine, Entire generations growing up without having experienced an extended mental quiet. And I'm not sure we'll ever fully appreciate the true ramifications of that on a societal level. And I want to touch on why this may be so hard for some people to admit, even for myself. And that's because this is so woven into our fabric of our lives, right? Every single day, social media, technology, it's a part of our conscious fabric at this point. It's woven into work, social life, identity. And unlike cigarettes, which is something you do as a habit, we can't just get rid of social media. I think it's become so ingrained, such a deep part of how we experience the modern world, that it's not something we can fully eliminate. More so maybe work with or try to reduce, mitigate. It's much, much stickier than that. Sometimes I wonder, are we too late? Is it too far gone to give up? I don't know. I've always learned in medical school that it's never too late to quit smoking. So maybe it's never too late to try to pull back, cut out social media. But I get it. It's very complex. And there are also many good things that come from social media, right? I mean, I'm here talking to you via YouTube, right? And that would not have been possible 20 years ago. Actually, maybe YouTube was around back then. I don't know. There are many positive things, many sources of connectedness around the world, being able to make communities that are very meaningful, actually. They exist mostly online, that connect people. So it's not all bad. It's not all that this is net negative the way cigarette smoke is. And I think that makes it really complex. It makes it much more nuanced, much more tricky of how do we go about creating a world where probably we'll never get rid of this medium. We have to live with it, but we also have to figure out how to live with it meaningfully in a way that it doesn't overshadow the other parts of life that perhaps give a lot of meaning. And I think that's something for this generation and future generations to really, really struggle with and really hopefully figure out and navigate. But in conclusion, I also don't want to make this sound hopeless, because I do see a lot of hope. Because the most hopeful thing is that my patients are coming to me reporting this as a problem. They're not complicit. They're not just digging further into the social media rabbit hole. They're noticing some of the impacts on their life. They themselves don't need scientists to tell them this is bad for them. They're experiencing it firsthand. And when they pull back, they feel the results. They feel better. And that gives me a lot of hope. I'm seeing people get back into the old hobbies, start new hobbies, things that are actually in the real world, listening to records, physical records, and reading books, physical books. And I think that trend, the analog trend, will continue. The return to hobbies will continue. And I think that social media is, in the near future, in for a little bit of a reckoning of some people dropping off, using it less, using it more mindfully, because I think people are starting to wake up and notice that this isn't sustainable. And the pace at which this has been going is also not sustainable. We have to pare back. We have to reconnect with other people, with life as we used to know it. There's definitely a quiet rebellion happening. So I'm curious what you guys think. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that, the warnings over this are overblown, that social media isn't as bad as we think or worse than we think? Do you think it's more complicated than that, or do you have some hot takes? Either way, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And are there any sort of other ideas that you'd like me to explore and expand on in future videos? I always appreciate your input. Thank you so much for giving me your attention, joining me here today. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you like and subscribe. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.